Okay, hello everybody. I'm Phil Kutzko. I'm Emeritus Director of the Math Alliance, and I have with me today Dick McGehee, who's a professor of mathematics at the University of Minnesota and also directs our partnership with the University of Minnesota. And he's going to tell you in a little bit about his great successful recruiting of our Alliance students through in the math department up there. Just to give you a quick number, he had never come to a Field of Dreams before 2015, and he now has 16 of our Minority Alliance students up at the University of Minnesota in graduate school. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the great things that David Goldberg has arranged for us to have as partners and gold and silver members and the advantages of that. And then I'm going to turn it over to Dick, who's going to give you some advice on how best to use those things to recruit the students. Now, if you'll give me just a second here, I'm going to share my screen. There's probably a better way of doing this than I do it, but we'll put up with it. Okay. Now, as you know, this has been a difficult time for all of us, and it's been an especially stressful time for our minority students in the Math Alliance. They're not in school quite often. They're not in contact with their mentors. All of these things are causing a lot of stress, and they're causing you stress as well, because you're not able, first, I know what you're going through in your universities, but you're not really able to do the normal recruiting. We look back 2 years ago to the Field of Dreams and how nice it was. And last year, when we tried to do what we could, we learned a lot. And so this new season is going to be much better than last time. And I'm going to describe for you a little bit how we're going to go about hooking you up with our students and the new sorts of things that we've developed. So let me start with that right away. Okay, so as you know, we've always provided you with information about the AGAP students, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. We also provide you with information for all of the students who come to the Field of Dreams. Now, of course, that's going to be virtual this year, and I think we've announced that already. We also give you a table at the virtual graduate school fair, but that's not the same thing, as you all know now, as having a table at the real fair during the Field of Dreams. The students may or may not come, and it may not work so well. So we have a brand new plan that I'm going to explain to you in some length now, of virtual meet and greets with students who are interested in learning more about your graduate program. So that's an overview of what we provide you. And now let me give you some details. Okay, so here are the details of the tools we provide you with. Okay, now here are the information that we give you about our FCAP students. All of them provide us with this information through mathprograms.com, and we will give you access to this information. I know in the past, some of you have found it a little bit difficult to use. We've got that all ironed out, and Rebecca Lank, who's our administrative assistant, is there at any time to help you be sure you can access what we give you. So here's the information you'll have. You're going to know about the college or university that the student is going to. You'll have their contact information. You'll have their demographic information, ethnicity, race, did they attend high school in the United States, citizenship, that sort of thing. The field they want to go into, their transcripts, their personal statement. And this year, we can't promise you a complete set, but we are now already asking our FGAP students to give us letters of recommendation, just as if they were applying to graduate school. So you should have at least some letters from some of them. And so what we've tried to do is give you as close as we can to an actual application. As you know, this gives you tremendous advantages. And for example, you can informally encourage students to apply in terms of fee waivers and that sort of thing. So you know all about that. Now, let me remind you that we have two categories of members. We have gold members and silver members. And Dave Goldberg is going to tell you about the ins and outs of the cost and that sort of thing. That's not for me to do today. And we have university partners. And I may just ask Dick to say a word about what that means, just in case those of you who are listening would be interested in organizing partnerships at your universities, because that's the best way to go with these things, honestly. What we do for our gold members and our partners is we provide you with this information at about October 1st. In the past, We've had trouble updating it, but I believe we've got that figured out now. So we hope that in real time, you'll be able to access the website, and you'll be able to find out each day if there are new students applying and new students becoming part of FCAP right up through the middle of November, or at least the beginning of November. So we hope that we can do that. And the silver members are going to get this information the day before the Field of Dreams conference, which is what we have always done. Okay, now the students who are attending the Field of Dreams, these are undergraduate students. Some of them are sophomores, some of them are juniors, some of them master's students. And these are students who will, when they get near graduation, are going to go into the FCAP program. And so the information we're going to give you on them, and there's usually going to be a lot of those students, 300, something like that, I'm guessing, from last year. Again, you'll know what school they go to. You'll know their contact information. You'll have their demographic information. They'll tell you at the moment what field they intend to earn a doctorate in, and their personal statement about why they want to go into mathematics and what brings them to the Field of Dreams. And again, you'll be able to get in contact with these students. Again, the gold and silver, gold members and the partners will receive this information starting October 1st, and we'll update it as more kids sign up. And the silver members will receive this information on the day before the Field of Dreams. Okay, now, of course, we're going to have a virtual fair, and I think that's going to serve an important role. I believe it's on the 5th of November. We'll send you that information, but that will be an hour-long fair, just like last year. I don't know what the platform will be yet. I think we'll find a better one than last year, I'm hoping. And we'll give you information about that in mid-September. But the new thing, and the thing I really want to tell you about, is a virtual meet and greet. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to first, you understand that our facilitators, our doctoral mentors who work with each of our FCAP students are having active discussions with them about what schools would be the best ones for them to apply to. So that's a group of people you would like to influence. And so we hope that you're going to send us, as part of this package, information about your schools, any kind of pamphlets, anything, all of course, electronic. And we will circulate them both to the students, to their mentor at their home institution, and to their facilitator. And we will encourage those students to sign up for these virtual meet and greets. So what we will do is schedule these for as long as you would like, an hour or 2 hours on a weekend during the week. It'll be a Zoom session. You can feel free, what I would advise, and I think Dick will say more about this, to not only bring your faculty, but bring some of your graduate students. If you have a chief diversity officer, if you have somebody who's familiar with the town, who's a person of color, you can bring them to this meeting. And then the students will be signing up. You'll know who they are in advance. You'll be able to use the information that we're providing you with to reach out to students and invite them and tell them the dates. We can do that for you as well. And we hope there'll be a bunch of students at these sessions. What we have learned from surveying the students is that they prefer that either to a fair or to one-on-ones. They like the one-on-ones later. So we're hoping that this will work well and that you'll get several dozens, hopefully, of students to your sessions. You can try to do one, you can try to do two. If you are a partner, then you can do 5 starting on October 1st, because that's when you'll have the information, or a gold member. If you're a silver member, we'll schedule 2 for you in the period December 7th, which is the end of the conference, to December 1st. We'll also be more than happy, if you're a gold member, to schedule one-on-one chats with the individual students. So we can do it either way. If a student would like to talk to you or some of you, we'll be letting them know that they have that possibility. And then you also can let us know if there's any particular students you would like to talk to, and we'll see if they'd be willing to meet with you, or you could contact them yourselves from all the information you'll have. So we're hoping that this will be a much better way of doing this than last year, and might be as successful as the very successful results we've had at earlier actual Fields of Dream. Now, I think that's all I've got to say. I'm going to stop my share. If Dick has any questions about anything I said, if I misspoke or there's any further information, I should comment one last thing. FCAP, you know, is our facilitated graduate admissions procedure. And you can read about that on the web. And what I'm going to have, David will be writing to you with with a link to this, video, and he'll also give you some references that you can click on to learn a little bit more about the things that I'm talking about today. Let me check with Dick. Did I leave anything out, Dick, do you think, or something I should have said differently?
No, I don't think so. I did wonder if there's a way to get the names of the facilitators.
Ah, yes, we talked about this, and we
Yeah.
thought that perhaps that would be asking too much of the facilitators, that they
Yeah.
but what we can assure you of, which I think is a wonderful thing, is any student who's interested in you is interested in you because the facilitator has said that that would be a good school for you. So if you have a student that's going to apply or come to see you, that's at the advice of the Alliance facilitator. And that's why we think that's going to be a very good fit.
Good. Yeah, that sounds really great.
All right. Now, you're an expert, Dick. You're the guy that probably has the record for getting the number of students in that period of time. And I just ask you a couple of questions as part of it.
Okay.
I want you to tell them whether you had a lot of minority students before you started doing this. And I'd like you to tell them whether you had enormous amounts of funds to lure these students, or rather you had other ways to go about this.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, thank you for asking me here. I'm very happy to help and promote the Math Alliance. It's been great for us. As you pointed out, I attended my first Math Alliance Field of Dreams conference was in 2015. And when I attended, I was just completely blown away. I was absolutely amazed at the preparation that the students had, their ability to actually interact, talk with people like me. And I just wanted to be part of it. At the time you asked me the question, had we had success with recruiting minority students before this? And we had made some attempts to do it. In 2015, we had exactly 2 minority students in our program. So when I started recruiting, then I started to learn the importance of these personal contacts. But I found that these Math Alliance students really need to be assured that they're wanted where they want to go. And the way to ensure that is to make sure not that you just collect their names at some meeting and send them a standard email that says, yeah, please consider University of Minnesota. We got a great program here. They actually really like the personal communication. And it's not just one time. I think you have to be persistent on that. So it took us a while. I think in 2015, we managed to admit 1. In 2016, we managed to admit another 1. But then we took off because at that point, we actually had 2 of your students in our program who were willing to go to the next Field of Dreams conference and actually discuss with the students who were there that what they could expect if they came to the University of Minnesota. And that year, I think 2017, we admitted 4 Math Alliance students. So I think that these new, maybe you're going to ask me the question about how would these what's your news here? How would that affect how we can do recruiting? Did I anticipate your question?
Say it again now.
I said, I think your next question for me is going to be how can we take advantage of what you're offering?
Yes. How would you, of course, you did your great recruiting in actual Field of Dreams meetings, but right. Now you and everybody else is going to have to recruit virtually. So how do you see playing the game with the information we're giving you this year?
Yes, well, first of all, I emphasize the importance of personal contact. So what I plan to do this year is, first of all, take full advantage of this, what you're offering now, which is to put certain students that want to meet with us, to be sure that we meet with them. Of course, I have the advantage now. I can invite not just myself and a few faculty members to this, but I can invite other Math Alliance students who've been through this program and who know. And so I would certainly take advantage of that, and I would contact the students before the meeting, say, what kind of questions do you have? I just set up a kind of personal one-to-one communication with the students so that when we actually hold the meeting, then we know the kinds of things they're interested in, we know something about them, and that we can actually address some of the questions and assure them that we have a program where they will be able to thrive. In terms of just once, as you pointed out, last year, it was kind of a problem because we just were expecting the students to come to our virtual rooms and ask us questions. We had to send out scouts. Basically, we saw that nobody was coming, so we sent out scouts around other students, faculty, to see where the groups of students were accumulating, to go interrupt the conversation and say, hey, if you're anybody's interested in the University of Minnesota, please follow me back to the room. And that's the way we actually made some contacts with some students. So this year it's going to be much easier than that. Because
you can have your own sessions.
Right,
I was going to just comment one thing. What I used to do, of course, Iowa, you all know about, and it's a long time ago, but we had a wonderful man named Joe Henry, who was African-American, and he was the recruiter for the graduate college. So he was not a mathematician, but Joe knew the climate in Iowa City and the fact that it wasn't as bad as people may have thought, which is the same in Minnesota, especially now, right? As an African-American who lived there his whole life, he knew the questions as to where you get your hair cut and those sorts of things. And Joe was more than happy to work with us. So I can say that these students, if you really like to get the lowdown, that's before we had minority students, right? I say, if you want to know a little something about Iowa City, my colleague Joe Henry will be happy to speak with you. You might consider, all of you, bringing somebody like that. If you don't have minority students, you might bring somebody from the community or somebody from the graduate college or some person of color who's very eager to see you bring new students. And then that way, that student who meets that person knows that that person will be there on campus as well if they ever want to drop in on him or something. So I think Dick and I are saying the same thing. You're trying to build community. You're trying to lessen the gap. It has nothing really to do with minority students. You're lessening the gap between your culture and your town and where these kids are and getting them to understand what the nature of is that they're coming. And then I think you'll do very, very well. That's the thing I think we both feel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I certainly second that. What I've taken advantage of, in our case, the people in the minority office tend to be the ones that are involved in recruiting from our graduate program, graduate school minority office, have Hispanic backgrounds, or there's one with a Native American background. And those two people have been instrumental in our attracting the Hispanic Americans and I should say the one Native American that we have. But yeah, that's an essential part. I mean, it's more there, and it's actually true. Some of them are interested in things like, in Minnesota, is there any place where I can get my hair done? I mean, I've had that question, and I have no idea. But these other people, the members of the community, know exactly what that question means.
And the churches, and everything else, right? I mean,
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And how do your students do? Are they happy, Dick?
Yeah, in general, they're doing very well. One of them won a National Science Foundation fellowship. After she was here, she applied for it and got it. And so far of the ones that we've started in 2015 and after that, only 2 of them have finished, and both of them are very well placed.
That's great. That's great. All right. I think we've probably taken enough of these folks' time. I really do hope you'll work with us this year. Beside the obvious advantages to all of us, I think it's important that all of us come together as a community, because we don't want to lose any students during this difficult moment. The numbers were going very well before COVID hit, and we want to make sure that 5 and 6 years from now, we have the same number of minority students ready to take their place in our academic setting, in industry, etc. And we can look back and say that we got something great done. So thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions at all, you know how to get hold of me and Dick. If you don't, just drop the note over to the Alliance and we'll be there to talk to you. And thanks again. Bye-bye now.
Yep. Bye, everyone.